never leave you, even if you asked me to.
I wasn't really brought up with roots music, although blues definitely factored into my sort of early teenage experiences. My brother was a big blues fan. He was a couple of years older than me, and so anything he listened to I thought was cool. And yeah, blues really stuck with me. I remember I had a Budweiser cassette that came with some beer my dad must have bought, and it had all these sort of blues hits, No, it was like old, Muddy Waters and B.B. King and all kinds of stuff, and I loved that. But the stuff I sort of grew up listening to at home would have been things like, well, my dad was a huge fan of Frank Sinatra and Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, Eric Clapton. So he liked great singers and he liked great guitar players. And so I listened to a lot of that stuff. And, the roots music sort of came probably in my early 20s, I would say. I started listening to Hank Williams, folk music, bluegrass, and I started playing old-time fiddle, and so I listened to a lot of old-time Appalachian hillbilly music and things like that. So, the country thing, I started out in a duo called the Wayward Fancies, probably about 10 years ago, and we used to just play country and bluegrass kind of music. And but then, I started to head towards slightly more contemporary sounds, I suppose. Because I absolutely love, and still listen to loads, things like Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, and always loved the Beggars Banquet Rolling Stones album. So that kind of rootsy, bluesy side of things. And I love harmony singing, and I think Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young would have been the first real kind of band that I took notice of harmonies and thought, yeah, that sounds great. So there's a real sort of combination of influences, and I don't know if they all are apparent in my music, but in this album some of them might be,
I've memorized every word you've said. I keep them all inside my head, and when you take me for your lover, you'll see that we were made for each other.
When I first came to Australia, I worked as a sound engineer for about 4 or 5 years, and travelled around doing that, and I think that was my apprenticeship into, I was very lucky. I got to go on tour around the States, a lot of roots festivals, and back when someone like Gillian Welch and Dave Rawlings were playing in their early career, I got to see them in a very intimate setting, and didn't know who they were or anything, and yeah, I was blown away by them, and started to really watch and take notice of what made a special gig. It's not just about the music, is it? It's, you've got great musicians. The songs, though, it's got to be, for me, it's about the songs more than anything, I think, because someone can be a technically great singer or very proficient musician, but if the song's not there, then I'm not really that interested, and I think that's something that I really took note of. And so that's one performance that stands out for me, was seeing Gillian Welch and Dave Rawlings play, and the whole audience, which was only small back then, we were so spellbound by them. And it's not just their endearing sort of qualities on stage, but it's the songs, so that obviously stuck with me. And my husband is Jeff Lang, and I worked for him as his sound engineer, and this is where I toured, other countries doing that. So I got to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of his gigs, and again, you take note of someone that's very good. It just all goes in there somewhere, I think. And eventually, when I, started just sort of more as a hobbyist, I suppose, playing a bit of fiddle, sitting around the campfire at friends' houses, having a bit of a jam or something, and I think always it's like, oh, I'd really love to have a sing, but I'm too frightened. So then you have a few drinks and lubricate things a little bit, and I think eventually I just thought, yeah, why not?
Made for each other, made for each other.
I would say the biggest thing that I focused on was thinking about how to get a relaxed sounding record. So obviously there's going to be moments when you want it to be exciting or, you know, intense, but for the most part I want it to sound effortless, and vocals and playing, I want the listener to sort of feel like they're in good hands and that it's a relaxing experience, and not kind of like, oh, it sounds a bit strained, or you can tell they're in the studio going, oh, got to get it right, you know. I wanted it to sound relaxed. So that was something I really concentrated on. So you don't listen to, you know, playbacks the way you listen to a record on your stereo. You examine it and you look for every little flaw, and no one listens to a record like that. So I think that's the other thing, to just sit back and go, just put it on and have a listen to it like you would a normal record, and try not to look for the flaws. Look for what's right about it, you know. And if it's not working, then have another go. But for the most part, we did it in 2 days. Me and the band, which was Kat Canteri on drums and harmonies. She actually overdubbed the harmonies, but drums, bass, guitars, and my vocal we did live, and then I overdubbed some more vocals later, and Kat and Justin put down some harmonies, and then we added a few things, but for the most part it was all done in 2 days.
Receipts for books and magazines, a few loose coins for parking machines, and the scent of you I find still lingers on the coat you left behind.
So one of them that's called On This Day it's a wedding song, and it was actually written for friends of ours. Grant Comerford, who used to play bass with Jeff, when he and his wife Miff got married, we wanted to write a song for them. We thought it'd be a nice gift, and so we did, and so that's probably 10 years ago now. But I'd never recorded it, and I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to actually put it on a record? So that's an old song that Jeff and I wrote together. And then the other one, Bitter Pill, again, it was a slightly older song of mine that I thought could be improved, but I just couldn't seem to change what I had. And I said, Jeff, do you want to have a go at, you know, improving this song with me? So he did, and yeah, I'm really happy with it now. We do write a bit together when we try and find time after putting the kids to bed. It's sort of sometimes not quite what you feel like doing, so I'd like to do a lot more of it in the future. It's really good fun. We feel very comfortable with each other to just put any rubbish ideas out there and not feel embarrassed, you know, and just say, what about this? Oh no, that sounds a bit shit. All right, what about that? Oh yeah, that's good, that's good. You know, we can have fun doing it rather than feel self-conscious, you know. It's a really great experience.
Made for each other, we were made for each other, we were made for each other, made for each other.
So my good friend Susanna SB recorded, it was the first song I wrote. It's called Best Behaviour, and Susanna recorded that. She asked me if I'd mind, and I was like, are you kidding? So she played it to me at her house, and I was just crying. It was just the most amazing experience. It really is quite mind-blowing and overwhelming. So and again, that really, it's the ultimate seal of approval, isn't it? You know, if someone says, I'd like to play this song, there are hundreds and thousands of songs to choose from. The fact that she wanted to do that one is really awesome. So and you know, she still does it, and it still just fills me with joy when I hear her do that. It's unreal. So I play. There's some acoustic guitar, some electric guitar, which was a Hondo 2 Japanese Strat copy, 70s, very cool. I had a little guitar, a little Regent electric. I think that's a 70s one as well, but it wouldn't stay in tune, and it was driving me nuts during recording. I'm like, you'd play like a song and it would go out before you'd even finish the song. It was just horrendous. And Jeff, who recorded and produced the record, said, hey look, you know, before you tear your hair out, try this one. And it's great. It's a lovely, solid, reliable guitar, sounds awesome, and stayed in tune beautifully. And I ended up kind of stealing that one. That's the one I use now. And just my Ibanez, my cheap Ibanez, I think that's a 70s one as well, which we bought for just a knockaround at home guitar, and so I'd be playing that, and I just love it. It's got this really deep, rich sound, and again, so I've just adopted that one as my gigging guitar. It's great, and you don't have to worry. It's not worth very much, so you just, oh well, gets a bit knocked around, never mind. You don't kind of lose sleep over it, you know. I don't play any violin on this record. I decided I didn't want the bucolic, it's been described as, fiddle sound on this one. I actually wanted like more of a classical player to come and play some strings on a couple. So Jason Bunn, the magnificent Jason Bunn, came and played violin and viola on, it's violin on one song and viola and violin I think on another. And it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I just didn't think my fiddle playing kind of fit with the tone of the record this time round. I played a couple on the last one, but yeah. I am going to take it on tour, however. Jed's asked me if I'll play on some of his on the road, which will be great fun. So, but yeah, on this record, it's just guitars and singing from me. But you know, this is my first tour of my own stuff. I've toured in other bands, and I've toured as a sound engineer, which you know, has been great. But for me to get out there and do my thing and present my songs is a real thrill. So I'm really, really excited. And having Jed Rowe on the road as well means that he can hop up and play on a couple too and have a sing. And I just think, honestly, we're going to have a riot. We're going to have so much fun.
We were made for each other.